The following is a production of DallasCowboys.com and the Dallas Cowboys Football Club.
How about them Cowboys?
Yeah!
Go Cowboys!
This is Talkin Cowboys. Streaming live from the Dallas Cowboys World Headquarters at the Star in Frisco.
C.D. Lamb, touchdown.
Parsons has sacked it. Prescott keeps it, and he bangs it in for the touchdown.
And now your hosts, Isaiah Stanback, Patrik Walker, Josh Rodriguez, and Kyle Youmans.
It's a draft month edition of Talking Cowboys presented by Black Rifle Coffee Company, live from the Star in Frisco, Texas, and the SWBC studios. Welcome in, everybody. We've got Patrik Walker, Josh Rodriguez, Tommy Yarrish with Jasmine Marshall in the back. I'm Kyle Youmans. So glad you were with us here on this Tuesday as we get ready for the NFL Draft 2025. Patrick's got his Dallas Cowboys Star Magazine Draft Guide, which is available now.
Available on DallasCowboys.com. Buy your draft notes from the internet, baby.
Sick. Buy it. Sick.
Thank you, Kurt.
That'll be our second read now.
Yeah.
That'll be our read now. I like it.
Buy your magazine on the internet.
Yeah. There's a digital copy. It's like $5. It is nothing crazy. I know everybody. That's like a couple cups of your Black Rifle coffee. That's all it is. You can still buy that too, but you got the $5 on the digital magazine, and then you got a print magazine for like, what is it, $10?
$10
retail, $10. I mean, come on now.
$10 for all of this goodness crafted by the one and only Kyle Youmans.
5 times cheaper than baby formula.
Kurt,
that is
Daniels.
very true.
So
extremely true. We were talking about that prior to the babies are off formula. It feels like a raise. It feels like a pay raise. Just wait until they're off of diapers. That's going to be crazy.
So
I know, dude. I'm rolling in it now.
This is very much an elixir. You're going to need to buy baby formula after you read this. You know what I'm saying? You're going to be so happy.
Yeah.
With the information that you've gotten. I'm telling you.
I feel like we're overselling.
Star Magazine, Draft Guide.
We're overselling.
There's no such thing as overselling this magazine.
That's true, because it's got a Tommy Yarrish,
Patrik magazine Walker
from
the internet.
Feature. All right, we got to get into some backup quarterback talk because we haven't talked about it. Of course, it happens all the time. I don't know why we even. I don't even know why we even record on Tuesdays because it happens either right after the show on Tuesday or going into like Wednesday or Thursday.
We just got to shift an hour, basically.
Yeah, and then we'll be fine. But Joe Milton is now a Dallas Cowboy. That's the biggest news and note of the week because the Cowboys trade a 5th-round pick. They get a 7th and Joe Milton in return.
Yes.
And instead of using a draft pick on a possible backup quarterback.
Which is what they were going to do if they
were going to do it. We've talked about it.
Yep.
They go and get guy.
Mm-hmm.
Get a guy.
Go and get a guy.
Got a guy.
Yeah.
And I much approve of this over what they did to acquire Trey Lance and sending away that 4th-round pick. And you got the player.
We don't have to talk about that.
Yeah, we kind of do. Yeah, we kind of do because you got to make the perspective.
It's over.
Right?
It's done.
The difference of 4th round and a 5th round trade.
But also,
you know what I mean?
You also got the 7th back with.
Of course.
So it was much less of an expensive pick. It wasn't expensive at all, really. So and then when you look at Joe Milton, I'm not going there with you, Kyle. When you,
it's one of the comments.
Okay.
Yeah.
When you
we got a great opportunity for comment of the
early,
but I can't say, I don't think I can say it on the air. I don't know if I can say it. I got to figure it out.
Say it, Kyle.
Nice job, Chris. Great job.
I'm gonna say it.
No, are you?
No.
Oh, okay.
Coward.
Keep going.
So we got Cowboys got themselves a 25-year-old with a cannon of an arm. Spent time with New England, obviously in 2024. Former 6th-round pick by way of Tennessee, which is by way of Michigan. So he has some definitely big stage experience from those two programs. And he's coming in and he's going to battle with Will Grier for the right to back up, Dak Prescott. So we'll see how it goes. I'm excited to get to OTAs, get to minicamp, get to training camp, and really see what that looks like because, over the past couple of seasons or more in the Cooper Rush era, the best shot at dethroning Cooper Rush came a couple seasons ago by way of Will Grier.
Yeah.
And then that didn't happen because Grier got injured, and that's kind of what derailed that. And then it ushered back in Cooper Rush, and then they went and got Trey Lance, which was never really a competition in their eyes, not the way that they perceived.
You're talking about the 23 preseason, right?
I want to say before when Will Greer went down injured, because he was winning that in training camp.
He was winning it in training camp. Then he got had a
groin.
It was a groin. It was a slight injury.
Yeah.
He came back. He played in the preseason, all 3 games, right? Yeah. I know he played in that last one because that was kind of his last hurrah, apparently. So I don't know.
No, not that one. I think it was 22.
Was it before that?
I think it was 22 because it was. If memory serves me correctly, he's winning the training camp battle. He gets injured and he's unable to finish out the preseason. And that's what derailed it for him. So then when he tried to come back, I think he was then made available again at that point on the practice squad. But he's made available again a few games into the season.
Yeah, maybe.
But by then, Cooper Rush had re-solidified. I think that was the season that
it must have been 22.
Was it the calf? Dak calf?
Yeah.
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 Because then Cooper went to Minnesota and solidified the backup role, and that was pretty much
23. They gave him a great shot to be the third quarterback, and then they traded for Trey Lance prior to the final preseason.
Exactly.
Yeah, no, I believe this was 22 when we all had a collective saying, hey, you know what, Greer is in the lead here, and then the injury happened, and then so forth and so on. But all of that to say, I'm looking forward to what will definitively be a QB competition behind Dak Prescott. Yeah. I know you traded, but this is not, excessive draft capital, which, guarantees anything for Joe Milton. I really think it's going to be Greer versus Milton. And I had a couple conversations kind of off the cuff, off the record with Will Greer. He's looking forward to the competition. Like, he's really looking to sharpen his teeth here. So it's going to be fun, and I'm ready for it.
That's an excellent take, Patrick, but I don't think there's enough overreaction in their statement there.
Okay, so can you overreact, please?
I'm telling you right now, by week 5. No.
Do it for the people.
Not at all. Not at all. I think it's a healthy competition going into training camp. Obviously, you need the bodies there. I think having these two quarterbacks behind Dak, let me be very clear, behind Dak to compete is a good thing, and only a good thing for the Dallas Cowboys. I would like to see a full preseason for both a full preseason game for both quarterbacks. I would love to see how they do in a full game situation, but let's see how it plays out. I'm excited to get to training camp now.
Yeah, I just saw Chris's comment.
You really, I know exactly what you're talking about. So we're going to quickly transition away from that. Good job, Chris. When you look at this, I think for both sides here, and talking about the Patriots and the Cowboys, it makes a lot of sense. From Dallas's perspective, I don't know if you're going to find a quarterback in the 5th round that gives you a better chance or a better prospect than Joe Milton does.
Yeah.
I mean, how many quarterbacks are you going to find that are 6'5", 247 pounds, and can throw the ball 800 yards? I mean, you're just not going to find that very often. So that's somebody that's worth taking a shot on from New England's perspective. They used a 6th-round pick on him last year after taking Drake May 3rd overall, and they get to move up in this year's draft from it and only give up a 7th in return. So I think it's win-win for both sides. Joe Milton's last year at Tennessee looked pretty good when he was playing at his best, 20 touchdowns to only 5 picks. Volunteers as a whole weren't really all that great that year, but he showed you something, and then that last game of the season, like you guys were talking about, when he started against Buffalo's second-team defense, 22 for 29 for 241 yards, a touchdown, and then ran 10 times for 16 yards and another score. So this is a guy who I think if you get some more snaps, whenever they come across, whether it be you're in a blowout and you get to put him in there, or you're getting blown out and you get to put him in there, kind of like what you've seen with Cooper Rush over the last couple of years. Yeah, you shouldn't, but it happens. It happens. I think he's positioned himself very well to be the backup quarterback here, and if it was today, I think he would be my pick over Will Greer. And that's not a shot at Will Greer or saying he can't compete for the spot. I just think Joe Milton gives you more options.
Yeah, it's all about the ceiling and the skill set and how it matches up. We had heard from Brian Schottenheimer years past that it does matter what the skill set looks like, and he wants it to match up correctly with Dak Prescott. And I think Joe Milton is a guy that's not a carbon copy of the two, but if you're looking at Will Greer or Dak Prescott, you could say the skill set, not talent level, but the skill set, it mirrors Dak a little bit more so than what Will Greer's would. So it is kind of an interesting tidbit. Plus, I went back and looked at his draft grade last year. I had him as the Cowboys fit in the draft magazine last year, which is another reason why you should buy the draft magazine. But I had him as the Cowboys fit last year. And if I were to take his grade and move it without even putting his NFL body of work into it, from last year to this year, he would be QB 8 on my list.
Oh, wow.
So, and the guys that I have in front of him would be Cam Ward, of course, Jackson Dart, Shadur Sanders, Jalen Milroe, Quinn Ewers, Riley Leonard, Will Howard. That's it. Those are the guys. So if you're not going to draft one of those guys, or you don't want to spend a first, second, or third round pick, which we've talked about that as a scenario on this show before, you didn't feel comfortable doing that, you feel pretty good about Joe Milton. I think it's pretty consensus across Cowboys Nation, which it's never really completely consensus, but this is about as good of a move as you could make. Moving down 46 spots in the draft and picking up a legitimate need that you were going to draft in the first place anyways, without actually spending a quality pick on it, and you still get to pick in the 5th.
Yep.
You still get a couple swings at it in the 6th, and you get an opportunity in the 7th.
Get a lot of swings in the 7th.
So yeah, you're just fine. Actually, you get 2 picks in the 5th, 2 in the 6th, and you got 3 in the 7th.
Yeah, lots of swings.
It's all evened out, and you get rid of a need you get a need that you were going to have to address anyways.
I think one of the only knocks that you can really have for him right now is that he hasn't had a lot of attempts in his career. I mean, obviously only had 29. And
you say the same thing for Trey Lance, though.
Exact. That was going to be the exact comparison that I made. It's another project in a way, but I think there's more upside here, given that he did play a great game last year in Buffalo.
There's more upside, and I think there's going to be more opportunity, too, because Cooper Rush has been the staple at that backup quarterback spot for the last however many years he's been in Dallas. So now it's kind of like, okay, well, Cooper Rush is not there anymore. There's no real veteran presence in that room. I don't know if we would categorize Will Grier as veteran. I don't think I would. But there's no
in terms of playing time, no. But he's been around the league for a while.
Yes.
Yeah.
He's moved around the league a little bit.
But I'm speaking more about playing
game.
Yeah, I get what you're saying.
So if that's what we're banking on here, and you bank on your backup quarterback to come in and facilitate for you when you need it. You're not necessarily planning to have what we had last year where, okay, Joe Milton's going to have to start the last 10 games of the season, right? So if it's a 1 game, 2 drives scenario that Joe Milton's needed for, I think that's an excellent spot for him. And I think that those kinds of reps slowly but surely are going to get him to where he needs to go.
And another thing that he's not, like that Dak isn't able to give you, is that he's a dual threat. He can run when he needs to, and he can escape when he needs to. I think what we've talked about Dak in the last couple of years is that he's not as mobile as he used to be, and nor do you really want him to be as mobile as he used to be, just based on the injuries that he's gotten. But I think with a guy like this that is athletic and has that dual threat, you can get something out of him that you weren't able to get out of Trey Lance whenever he was in the game.
And you saw that, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but you saw that athleticism on display and just how he's able to maneuver the pocket when it kind of breaks down in that game against Buffalo last year where, he's rolling out, and the strength of his arm is such a weapon. It's really unlike a lot of what you've seen ever, because there's that one play where he rolls towards the sideline. I don't know who he threw it to. The touchdown didn't count. It's a crime that it didn't count. Yeah. It should have stood thanks to the rule of cool. But he just rifles it, and it just looks effortless. He's on the move. The sideline's coming right on him, and he just rifles it into a perfect spot. That's hard to find. That's really hard to find nowadays. And I think that if you're able to capitalize off of that when the opportunities come, because again, this is Dak Prescott's job, and it's going to be that way until he decides to hang it up or leaves. But I think that kind of skill set and that kind of trait is something that you've got a really high floor that you're building off of with Joe Milton.
What I'll add to those excellent points is the fact that one of the biggest concerns of Trey Lance coming into the league, even as a 3rd overall pick, was that he didn't have a lot of experience coming into the league with North Dakota State as far as games played and games started.
Yeah, it was really one year.
Right, 18, give or take. But when you're talking about Milton between Michigan and Tennessee, he had 43 games that he took the field for. Mm-hmm. So although he's a 1-year guy, which makes him kind of like a pseudo-rookie for the Cowboys, young guy.
3 years under contract, cheap.
There's a lot of control.
Backup quarterback.
Cheap as far as expense goes. Yeah. And he entered the league with a ton more actual collegiate experience than Trey Lance did. So I say that to say, are there some things he needs to improve upon? Absolutely. We keep talking about how much of a cannon his arm is, and that's absolutely true. He
can't teach that.
Right. He has an Anthony Richardson kind of cannon. But in the same breath of Richardson, he needs to work on his ability to put touch on the ball. Mm-hmm. So that was something that concerned me time and time again with Trey Lance. So Trey Lance doesn't have the cannon that Milton had, but Trey Lance also struggled with the touch. So if Milton can kind of refine that and put some touch on that ball, then we're really talking about a good QB competition behind
Behind.
Prescott.
This turns into like one of those I can fix them sort of conversation. Where coaches feel like they can fix a guy, and then all these other guys have just gotten it wrong all the way through, and then you kind of figure you match it together. But the opportunity is there.
100%. But there hasn't been a big enough sample size for him.
Absolutely not.
So, I mean, I don't know if it's about fixing him, but more is refining the skill set that he does have.
Well, and it's funny because Tommy brought up the Buffalo game, and everybody's talking about this Buffalo game because that's what we have.
That's all we got.
That's what we've got. That and preseason tape, even that I think was limited to a certain extent.
And less than 400 snaps at Tennessee.
And then his Tennessee tape, which his Tennessee tape, I even wrote it. I'm reading my article from him last year, but a lot to be intrigued about when studying. Joe Milton had success at Tennessee, won some big games during his time with the Volunteers. Additionally, he boasts a fantastic athletic profile that resembles a tank more than a quarterback because he can run the ball and he's got an absolute cannon strapped to him, like he's got that too. How teaching guidance will be needed fundamentally at the professional level. That's what I've got here. So I think there's ways that you've got to have the right teaching and the right leadership to put him in those spots. But this isn't going to. We're not saying the Cowboys are winning the Super Bowl. We're go ahead and book your tickets to Santa Clara in February of next year. Like, that's not what we're saying. What we are saying is that this is a solid move to pick up a backup quarterback, and it helps your depth of your football team, and it could help the future of your football team too if it works out.
Now, just a little tiny overreaction. All right, guys.
Tiny.
What is
winning the Super Bowl?
What is his QB comparison at his best?
Like current. I had Kyle Trask.
I like that.
As the guy last year, I had Kyle Trask. I don't think Kyle Trask has the same arm talent as Joe Milton, though. And I think at least because Kyle Trask is still in the league, right?
Yes. He's
still bouncing around somewhere. Is he still in Tampa Bay?
I don't know that he's still in Tampa.
Didn't he just re-sign with Tampa Bay?
He may have. But I think as a solid backup quarterback with some upside to be a starter at some point in time, doesn't mean it's this year or next year. I think I would probably – I don't know if I hate that comparison, but I don't know if I'm fully on board with Kyle Trask the way that I may have been as a college guy.
Pat, do you have a comparison?
Honestly, and this isn't going to sound lovely given the
nothing you're going to say is going to sound lovely because you're either going to
What do you mean? My guy has a sultry
I disagree. My wife disagrees. She says I have a lovely
I'm not
voice.
talking about your voice. I'm talking about
which means everything.
Comparing quarterbacks. I'm sure half of the people in the comment section have already vomited once I said Kyle Trask.
Yeah, really, I said it. I said it in my in the take a few minutes ago. I think it's Anthony Richardson. I think the comp is Anthony Richardson. I think you talk about two quarterbacks who are dual threat, who can throw it a mile, who can take off and run. They're big, they're strong, they're physical. They're hard to get on the ground. If it's you versus it's the linebacker versus them, or a smaller safety versus them, or something like that. But much like Richardson, the touch is not necessarily there. Yeah. The accuracy needs to be worked on. So huge upside, but the upside has to be. I mean, it's not going to be achieved unless these coaches, Schottenheimer and Clayton Adams, and they can get their hands on him and actually figure out what switches to hit within him to achieve that. So for me, it's Anthony Richardson.
Anthony's probably a better runner, specifically. Like he's probably a better straight-up runner, speed, agility, that kind of thing. And then Milton's probably a better arm talent, so it kind of counteracts each other a little bit, like in terms of arm strength and throw power and that kind of stuff.
What do you got?
I got one from this quarterback class.
Oh.
I think Joe Milton is a taller, less quick Jalen Milroe. Because Jalen Milroe can absolutely launch the football.
Interesting.
But he sometimes just doesn't have that touch. Mm-hmm. He's not as great in that short to intermediate game. They've both got cannons of an arm in terms of what they can do with the deep ball. I think Milton's got the edge a little bit there, but then again, he's kind of in his own class with that. And then, I mean, Milroe's legs are what completely changes his game. But Milton can run too. I'm not saying that he's, going to break away from everybody on an 88-yard touchdown every other play. Right. Like Milroe can hit you with that home run ability, but he's still more than mobile. And so I think that, you look at these two guys, and they kind of remind me a lot of each other. Milton's obviously a little bit bigger, but they're both just so stocky in what they're able to do. I mean, look at how Milroe's built. His legs are tree trunk. He's built like a linebacker, you can see in that film there. And like I said, where Milroe changes the game is with his legs. But, I mean, look at this clip right here. He's got that can of an arm. Obviously, I think Milton's got a little bit more rifle to his passes.
That looks like a duck.
Right, but come on, Jazz. We got to put the right clip up there. You're making me look bad here. But Milroe, I think since his days at Tompkin High School, this deep
That's
ball
a
right
rifle.
here, that's exactly what his specialty is, right? And I think Milton gives you that too. I think where Milroe is more accurate with that deep ball, whereas Milton can really just toss it up there and make it look effortless when he does that.
Yeah.
But a lot of the same kind of traits in their games, and then this is where Milroe changes the game right here, because if he gets space, it's game over.
Yeah, I completely agree. I like your sentiment there. I think Milroe will be probably a 3rd round, 4th round guy. So if he goes before that, either way, the Cowboys aren't going to take him.
I think he's going earlier.
That's fair.
He got a draft invite and accepted it. That's not the end-all, be-all in terms of when he gets picked. But if he's a first round or a second round pick, don't be surprised. I think somebody's going to bank on his traits.
Damn. Yeah, that's pretty wild.
I'd be all for it, by the way.
Milton asked if half the show is on Milton. No, 3 segments. So it's 1/3 was about Milton.
We're getting close to running over on time. What else are we going to talk about? Well, we're going to tell you next on Talkin Cowboys. We've got some other news and notes and some things to keep in note when we come back right after this. If you're looking for fresh American roasted coffee that gives back, you need to head to your local grocery store and pick up a bag of Black Rifle coffee. That's right, America's coffee is now available in the coffee aisle of a grocery store near you. Black Rifle Coffee Company is veteran-founded with a mission to give back to those brave men and women who have served our nation. Every bag, box, or can you purchase helps support that mission. Head to your local grocery store and roast yourself some Black Rifle coffee today.
Todd thought it would be secure to jog in the cheetah savanna. Todd believed the big cat repellent he bought online was reliable. And now, Todd is trying to be faster than this cheetah that can run 80 miles per hour. But the good news is, Todd has AT&T 5G that is fast, reliable, and secure. And he learned the best thing to do is stop running and toss her the backpack with the beef stew. AT&T 5G. Fast, reliable, secure.
5G requires compatible plan and device. 5G may not be available in your area. See att.com/5G for you for details.
It's the official men's skincare brand of the Dallas Cowboys, Jack Black. And right now, Cowboys fans can get 15% off their $75 order. Plus, because every deal needs a playmaker, your order will include a free 5-piece skincare set and free shipping. The Jack Black Playmaker is 4 of Jack's favorites and a full-sized intense therapy lip balm. Make a play for the playmaker at getjackblack.com/Cowboys with the code CowboysVIP. That's getjackblack.com/Cowboys with the code CowboysVIP.
If you shout, "How about them Cowboys?" you have that undeniable passion that's the heart of Cowboys Nation. And if you like to drink Dr. Pepper, you love the unique blend of its 23 flavors. Together, your one-of-a-kind fandom paired with the one-of-a-kind taste of a delicious ice-cold Dr. Pepper is the game day lineup that can't be beat. Better yet, gather your Cowboys and Dr. Pepper fan friends to watch the next game and crack open a delicious ice-cold Dr. Pepper for everyone. The wins will be even tastier. It's a pepper thing.
Back to Talkin Cowboys.
All right, back here on the Talkin Cowboys podcast show presented by Black Rifle Coffee Company, the official coffee of the Dallas Cowboys. Of course, the official draft guide of the Dallas Cowboys is out now. We said it in the first segment. Here's the official read. Over 500 prospects listed in this year's guide. You have feature stories about guys like Ashton Genty, past Cowboys, and a whole lot more. Over 515 guys ranked. You got 100 bios from this year's NFL draft. We are just over 2 weeks away. Don't waste any time. Get your digital or print copy today at dallascowboys.com/star. Bang.
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 I was off the dome, by the way. There's no read here
Off
for
the dome.
Cowboys
No,
magazine.
Freestyle.
That's freestyle, baby.
Freestyle.
It's like I
Smack DVD.
It's like I
Cow
wrote
yo.
the magazine or
Let's
something.
go.
All right.
Dish.
We talked a lot about Joe Milton. Yes, we did, because that's the biggest news of the week for the Cowboys. But I kind of want to go off of some of these stories on DallasCowboys.com as well. Decisions. There was a gentleman that had a mock draft Monday on DallasCowboys.com. His name
who
is
that
Might
is?
that guy have been?
His name is Tommy Yarrish.
Oh.
I know that guy.
So I'm going to go through. I'm going to go through some of these listed mock drafts, right? That he's listed here, and I want you to give me A thumbs up or a thumbs down. No grade system. Either it's good or it's bad. You like it or you don't like it. And we're going to go through kind of what each of these draft analysts think about their possible draft pick. Let's start with one of the guys who's been doing it the longest, Mel Kiper Jr. out of ESPN. Mel Kiper Jr. had the Cowboys taking a running back in the first round at 12 overall. But his name was not Ashton Genty. His name is Omarion Hampton, running back from North Carolina. Thumbs up or thumbs down, Pat?
Thumbs up on the player, thumbs down on the value of that particular pick. No way I'm taking Hampton at 12.
Yeah.
I love him for later, but not at 12.
Okay. What do you think, John?
At 12.
At 12.
At 12.
I'm going to give you a...
That is right, Tommy.
Joaquin
right?
Phoenix.
It was at 12?
It was at 12.
There you go.
Right back down there.
There you go.
Yeah.
Thumbs down.
I'm going to give it kind of the same thing as Patrick. It's thumbs up for the player. I love Omarion Hampton. If he ends up being at 44, I'm all for it.
Boom.
I don't think it's going to be a 12 overall pick, though.
12 is tough.
12 is very
absolutely no way at 12. And that's nothing against Omarion Hampton. I think he's a great player. I've got guys above him. I think I'm a little bit lower on him than some other folks are.
You have running backs above him?
I have Caleb Johnson from Iowa above.
A lot of people do. I still have him as RB4. Still a second-round pick, but I have Henderson and Hampton above him.
And I don't think Travion Henderson is that far behind Hampton, in my opinion. I think Henderson is just a straight-up home run hitter. Yeah. And again, this running back class is so good that Hampton being RB4 in that stack is not necessarily like, oh, well, this guy's a mid-second round pick and he's not going to translate too much. I think he has an incredibly high ceiling in this league if he goes to the right scheme. And I think Dallas would work out great for him because he can play on 3 downs and he can give you everything you're looking for in a back. But at 12, I think there's bigger needs and better players on the board for Dallas at that spot.
I do got to say, as the de facto webmaster of DallasCowboys.com, Hampton has some of the best photos of any player in the draft.
Oh, North Carolina's uniform.
Those uniforms
so much better. Yeah, the best in the game.
So that moves his stock up for you. So it makes him good at 12.
It would make great headlines. I'll tell you right now. That centerpiece.
First overall pick.
Straight up for Mariana.
And it's a Tennessee Titan now.
I don't know if you've ever been out to like Chapel Hill and like been out there in the trees and the triangle is what they call it with like Raleigh and Durham and I know you've been out that direction.
The triangle.
Yeah, but like all of that like Chapel Hill is perfectly covered in that like baby blue.
It is.
Oh, it's so clean. It's such a good look.
Great
basketball arena's all blue. Oh, it's just perfect.
And then you go to Durham and you see that ugly
blue.
You see that ugly blue.
So you were happy on Saturday that Houston took care of business?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. And they almost did it for me again last night. Yeah. Just get the shot off, man.
Shout out to the Florida Gators, but man, that was a heartbreaker for Houston.
Not.
I'll shout out Florida. I'm trying to get some college basketball.
Go Dogs.
Here. All right, Bucky Brooks from NFL.com, friend of the draft show and a relatively well-known contributor to DallasCowboys.com. Bucky said Armand Mimbu, offensive lineman from Missouri, offensive tackle more specifically, there at 12 for the Cowboys. What do you think, Tommy, on that one?
It's an interesting one because I think when you look at this offensive line, Brian Schottenheimer wants to put the best 5 out there. Mm-hmm. Do you feel like they have a 5 right now that's fairly strong to compete in a division where the line of scrimmage is so important?
Yeah.
That's up for the Cowboys to answer. I think they need the skill position players more than they need the trenches early in this draft. So I would go thumbs down. But Membu is a heck of a player. He's a heck of an athlete. And I think if you look at him at guard specifically, it's an intriguing option for the Cowboys. It would be the boring pick. Mm-hmm. But I think I would rather, if you had put Membu or Hampton in front of me, I would take Membu.
Okay.
I'm going to go thumbs down on this one. I feel the collective sigh from the Dallas Cowboys Nation to pick another first-round offensive lineman in a spot so high when you have a need for skill position. I think would be really tough. I guess my sort of first gut reaction to a pick like that would be like, that's great. You know, it would be nice to have. I mean, it sounds weird. I don't want another Ring of Honor guy that doesn't get a Super Bowl. You know what I'm saying? Like,
you want to win a Super Bowl. I get it. You want Ring of Honor guys that are going to have rings.
Exactly.
You know?
Exactly. I mean, if you're picking the best guy that's going to be at his position, that's great. But give me a guy that's going to win me some games, dude. I think I need a skill position.
Okay. If we were in an episode of Stranger Things and we were in the Upside Down, it'd be a thumbs up. But we're in the real world, so it's thumbs down because I'm taking the skill position at 12. I'm taking the skill position because in order for you to convince me that this will be okay, I first need to know who went off the board first. Like, let's assume Genty is off the board. Is Tet also off the board? Tet McMillan, is he also off the board?
Maybe.
If both are off the board, why are you still at 12?
Mm-hmm.
Is my thought process. Bail out, move back a few picks, try to get that fourth, try to get some additional capital, and still pick in the middle of the first round. But yeah, I don't look at it as, and this is not a shot to Mimbo. I think that he can be something for real. But offensive tackle, you just spend a first rounder on Guyton. Whatever you think about Guyton, just know that the Cowboys are not going to bail on him in year 2 after giving up a first round pick to get him. And then on the opposite side, I guess I'm of the select few that liked what they saw on the back end of last season with Terrence Steele coming along.
Yeah.
So being that I like what I'm seeing with Terrence Steele kind of getting back to form, and I know the Cowboys aren't moving off of Tyler Guyton in year 2 of first round pick from last year, why are you sitting at 12 if Tet and Genty are gone? And if neither of them are gone, why is this your pick based on Bucky Brooks's?
Yeah, it's a good question because I think if you're taking an offensive lineman in the first round, you're bumping somebody. You're either bumping Terrence Steele, you're moving Cooper Beebe, you're moving Tyler Guyton, you're not going to move Tyler Smith. He's probably the one guy that a first-round pick would not even move. And if I'm looking at Armand Mimbu as a possibility in the first round, I think you would have to move Tyler Smith, right? That would be the first thing you would probably think about. I'm not moving an all-pro from the guard spot. I'm not doing that. But I think Mimbu would probably fit best as a left guard or a left tackle. You already have a left tackle in Tyler Guyton. That would be the one I would move if Mimbu's there. I still don't feel super confident about that, though, because then I would have to swing him to right tackle, and then all of a sudden Terrence Steele's a question, and then the dominoes start falling. I'm going to give a thumbs up for the player. I actually am of the mindset that he's not even going to be there at 12. I think somebody in front of them takes him, and so the player is there and the value is there. If you're talking legitimate BPA, he would be a conversation because that's BPA and then figure out the rest. Mm-hmm. If you're doing that, I'm not gonna be upset about it because you're taking a damn good football player. But I'm gonna say thumbs down just because of the fit. It's just kind of a weird scenario, and I'm kind of with you guys in the fact that it would take a lot for me to move around. Mm-hmm. I think if there was a spot where you could say, "Oh, don't worry, we don't have a left tackle. He's your left tackle," or "Oh, don't worry, we don't have a right guard. He'll fit great at right guard." I think I would feel more opportune about it. I just think there's too many other moves that are gonna have to happen.
Fair.
And happen to work for you in order to make the pick actually work out in the
Question, though, is the second round too early for you guys for an offensive line, period?
No.
Yeah.
No, I could take but I'm taking a right guard in that spot, right? Or a center or somebody that I really like there, and then move BB out to guard, and then you're feeling pretty good there. I don't think they're going to take an offensive lineman in the second, but let's say like a Kelvin Banks from Texas falls or a Will Campbell from LSU somehow falls. Then you can maybe have that conversation.
You have the conversation, but I still think you need skill players.
I agree. All right. Speaking of skill players, how about Lance Zierlein, also from NFL.com? He usually has a pretty good beat on what the Cowboys are doing when they get closer to the draft. There's a little secret. If you see his mock draft like week of the draft, keep an eye on that and kind of bookmark it. Matthew Golden, wide receiver from Texas, is who he had there. Tommy, I know you were down there at Texas Pro Day. Do you feel like that's the right fit for the Cowboys? At 12.
Fit is the question because you can line Matthew Golden up outside, but if you look at him against a Tet McMillan, right? McMillan's got the size, he's got the catch radius, he's got the 50-50 ball ability, whereas Golden, you're going to be saying, okay, we're banking on you to win your routes, to outrun guys, and get the 50-50 balls at a much less rate than you would if you're throwing Tet McMillan. But I think he's a savvy route runner. He gets open. He can blow past a guy. He can create separation. You saw what he was able to do at the combine, running wise. He ran one of the best 40, I think, if not the best 40 for a wide receiver
really good
at the combine. And so back end of the season, he was incredibly productive for Texas in the college football playoff. And so there's a lot to like with Matthew Golden. I think, though, if you've got Golden and McMillan both on the board, because of what McMillan gives you from a catch radius and 50-50 ball standpoint, because the Cowboys just need that big X receiver, I feel like, to complement CeeDee Lamb, that's the question. But Matthew Golden is a heck of a player, and I think that if you paired him with CeeDee Lamb, a lot of good things would come from it. The question would be, he can line up in the slot too. And he lined up in the slot too a lot at Texas. So where do you work CeeDee Lamb into that? Because you've got to make sure that he is still the most prominent part of your offense. And so how does Matthew Golden complement that? Is he better on the outside than in the slot, do you feel like? That's the question that the Cowboys would have to answer if they picked Matthew Golden. But he's a heck of a player, and I think it would be a thumbs-up pick for me.
Is it more likely or less likely that Tet is gone before Golden?
I would say it's more likely.
More likely.
I think that the media landscape, the media pundits in the draft are overthinking Tet McMillan a lot, and that's why he's sliding in these mock drafts.
Teams aren't.
I don't think teams are. I think he's that good of a player, and you can talk about the top end speed, whatever. You're not going to find an athlete like that at the receiver position anywhere else in this class. I mean, just what he's able to do in the air, it's really incredible, and he's just so acrobatic, can make any catch. You throw him any ball 50-50, and he's just a matchup nightmare.
Yeah.
So
why is he falling? Do we know?
That's what I'm saying. I'm saying that
just
he's falling in the draft world, like of mock drafts.
The pundits are
right.
Their dialogue
I don't know if he's sliding that much.
Yeah.
From an NFL team standpoint,
if he slides past,
I don't think so.
If he slides past 12, we ran through the simulation on the draft show and did our own little mock draft there. But if he slides past 12 in the Cowboys, 13 through 19 is going to be interesting because those teams don't necessarily need wide receiver help right away. They don't need first-round wide receiver help, and they've got a lot of other needs that they could possibly hit there. So if the Cowboys wanted to trade back, and we actually did in that scenario, traded back to 18 with the Seattle Seahawks, if you can find a dance partner to kind of trade in that area, you may still get Tet and feel pretty good about it. But he's got to get there to 12 first. Like, you got to see what's available there at 12. And I think the Cowboys are so wide receiver hungry, I don't think they would play around with it. I think they would get a guy like Matthew Golden or Tet McMillan if he's there.
And the other question, too, you mentioned sliding. If he does slide, I think it's a question of, okay, what do the teams in front of Dallas need? What are their positions of need, right? Like, when you look at this sport, if we're looking for places where Tet McMillan could fall early on, I think if you look at New England and Travis Hunter and Abdul Carter are off the table, okay, do you want to give Drake May his best receiving weapon yet, or do you try to find your left tackle of the future there and a guy like Will Campbell? So that's the question with the Patriots. Then you slide further down. Do the Panthers want to give Bryce Young a solid wide receiver one option, or do they want to go on the defensive side of the ball and bolster their pass rush? You could argue that New Orleans could be looking for a guy to complement Chris Olave in that room. So there are questions as to whether or not a team in front of Dallas is going to look for that. I mean, even you can make the argument for San Francisco, given how much it looks like they're going to pay Brock Purdy, and they're kind of just selling everybody right now. Is that a team that looks at him? So it's just an interesting argument of, okay, do you really need wide receiver early on, and do you bank on a guy like McMillan's talent?
Yeah.
Or is he going to slide? Because, frankly, teams just aren't really in need of a wide receiver, even though this class is so loaded at the position.
So would you give it thumbs up or thumbs down?
McMillan?
No, Golden.
A thumbs up.
Thumbs up for Golden quickly before we go to our second break?
Thumbs up for the player, thumbs down, taking him at 12.
Okay.
Thumbs down.
Trade down.
For
Golden,
the fit.
Yeah, Golden is a trade back and get guy for me.
Yeah. I'm going to go thumbs up. I think he's that good of a player. I think he'll be fine.
Sorry, I'm going to cut you off. I don't think if you trade back, he's there.
Depends on how far you're dancing.
If we're dancing like
if you go back,
you would have to dance fairly far. And this is definitely a guy that I could see somebody trading up to get if somebody sees him that highly.
Is Tet going?
He could be. He very well could be.
If Tet is gone, then
it changes. Because then you're getting, instead of wide receiver one,
then I'm at least willing to have the conversation. I'm not going to say it changes.
Yeah.
But let's talk about it at that point.
If Tet and Genty are gone at 12, you trade back, I think.
Right, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Like,
right.
I think we're all in agreement.
But
you got to find a trade. You got to find a trade partner.
And if you've got McMillan and Golden at 12, you pick McMillan, in my opinion.
I almost said the word. Absolutely.
Real quick, shout out to Andrew. He actually pointed out, I completely had a flub. I don't know why I said Mimbu was a left tackle. He's a right side player. I even have it in the magazine. Like it's in front of, like, I have it right here. He played right guard and right tackle. I don't know why.
Someone hasn't had their.
That's on me. Yeah, sorry, I didn't get my Black Rifle coffee to kick in time. So that's on me.
This is what happens when we don't get oats in the morning anymore.
So I'm gonna change my answer on Mimbu because now that I'm of right sound in mind, I'm gonna say thumbs up because he's gonna be a hell of a player and he might be your right guard of the future. And then you don't have to move anybody around. You can have Cooper Beebe at center. You can have Terrence Steele at right tackle.
You're going to throw the ball too, Kyle.
You're going to be just fine. We're going to figure it out in the second. Figure it out in the second round. If Mimbu falls, give me a thumbs up. We'll change my answer. Thank you, Andrew, for pointing that out because I don't know why I'm an idiot. All right, let's take our second break. When we come back, I've got 2 more names that were on these mock drafts that I want to get to. Thumbs up or thumbs down. More of this right after this message from Talkin Cowboys.
Todd thought it would be secure to jog in the cheetah savanna. Todd believed the big cat repellent he bought online was reliable. And now, Todd is trying to be faster than this cheetah that can run 80 miles per hour. But the good news is, Todd has AT&T 5G that is fast, reliable, and secure. And he learned the best thing to do is stop running and toss her the backpack with the beef stew. AT&T 5G. Fast, reliable, secure.
5G requires compatible plan and device. 5G may not be available in your area. See att.com/5G for you for details.
They say champions are remembered, but legends are never forgotten. United Ag & Turf offers a winning lineup of John Deere equipment built to tackle any challenge on and off the field. Legendary John Deere tractors, combines, residential mowers, commercial mowers, compact construction equipment, Gator utility vehicles, and a full line of golf and sports turf equipment. United Ag & Turf, the official Ag & Turf equipment supplier of the Dallas Cowboys. Visit UnitedAgAndTurf.com to find a location near you.
Hey y'all, Matt Pittman of Meat Church here. With football season kicking off, I'm already gearing up to bring the smoker back to AT&T Stadium for some epic tailgates. But with that Texas heat, it's crucial to keep my beer hand cramping cold. That's where Yeti's insulated Colster can cooler comes in clutch. This year, you can even get them with the iconic star engraved on the side. Licensed Yeti Cowboys gear is now available at Stadium Pro Shops, concessions, and on Yeti.com. Check it out today. Yeti, official cooler and drinkware of the Dallas Cowboys.
And we're going to overtime.
Erica, how much have I spent on concessions?
For questions about their money, Dallas Cowboys fans can turn to Erica, the virtual financial assistant in the Bank of America mobile banking app. Learn more at bankofamerica.com/Erica by your side. Bank of America, official bank of the Dallas Cowboys. Erica responses may vary. Digital tools featured require downloading the mobile banking app and may only be available on select mobile devices. Erica is a mobile feature only available in the English language. Your chat may be recorded and monitored for quality assurance. Message and data rates and additional terms may apply. Bank of America, N.A., member FDIC.
Back to Talkin Cowboys.
This segment is brought to you by Invisalign, the official smile of the Dallas Cowboys. You got to smile at the camera, Tommy. There you go. Give us those nice pearly whites.
Give us the pearly whites.
Invisalign, of course. Welcome back into Talking Cowboys, presented by Black Rifle Coffee Company, the official coffee of the Dallas Cowboys. 2 more names to get to here on this Mock Draft Monday Roundup. That's the article. Find it online, DallasCowboys.com. I know it's a Tuesday, but we're still talking mock drafts.
Actual Black Rifle coffee today.
Is it?
Yep.
Good for you.
It is.
What's in the
Murdered Out is the flavor.
Murdered Out.
And it is as dark as night. Very dark.
I really.
No wonder you're having a great show. Yeah.
I really thought you were going.
What's darker than night?
The Dark Knight. All right. Woo. Matt Miller, ESPN, says Tyler Warren, tight end from Penn State, will be the Cowboys' pick at 12. This is probably the most wild card name that I've seen out of the article. Patrick seems to agree.
I think we know
he's
where
already
Patrick
taken his
stands on
headset
this.
off. Penn State tight end, best tight end in the draft. A lot of people are really high on him in the media circles. Not sure what teams think. I think the teams like him. Could be an impact tight end. Could be Brock Bowers. Could be him.
Could be.
What say you,
pump the
Patrick?
brakes.
O.C. Walker.
Boy,
I don't think
if you on tight end.
Tight end.
Arguably,
You're a
the
Fergie stan, though.
Not
right?
No, not.
I'm a Fergie stan. I don't mind
huge
admitting.
fan of potential of Fergie, and I think he'll have
he'll have a bounce back year. Yeah, he'll be fine.
Especially as long as Dak remains on the field, because I think that's the key for Ferguson, as well as Ferguson remaining healthy.
Think Joe Milton throwing 95 miles per hour down the cut?
That's going to help. But arguably the position that needs the least amount of assistance in the draft right now. You're going to spend the 12th overall pick on it.
Yeah.
Could not hate that more. And that's my.
So is that a double thumbs down?
That's double thumbs down.
Yeah.
Could not.
I'm right
hate
there
that
too.
More.
No, thank you. I love Tyler Warren as a prospect. Not here.
Yeah, I do too. I think that he gives you a lot of versatility in the way you can use him, just because he's a receiver in a tight end's body, I think is the way that I would put it.
Sure.
And that was kind of on display in his last year at Penn State. I think Penn State made a great hire with Andy Kotelnicki as their offensive coordinator, because he likes to put a bunch of fun wrinkles into his offense and have guys do a lot of different things. You remember his time at Kansas. That's when Jalen Daniels was playing at his best. I'm nerding out on college football too much. I'm sorry. But Tyler Warren, they kind of just use as a Swiss Army knife. He lined up at quarterback. They played him at running back. They played him at wide receiver. They played him at tight end. They might as well have played him at offensive tackle.
Yeah.
This isn't a guy who's going to be the best inline blocker, but what he gives you from a receiving standpoint, I understand why people will say, oh, this could be Brock Bowers. Brock Bowers is a unicorn. There's no one else like Brock Bowers that I've seen from the tight end.
I'm just trying to stir up conversation.
I understand.
That's all I'm doing.
I understand.
I don't think he's going to be Brock Bowers. Actually, I think he's a great value version of such. I think he's a good player, and he has a similar skill set, but he's not the same.
No.
And if you're going to take a first-round tight end at 12 overall when you really don't need one, if we were sitting here and looking at our tight end position and saying, man, we don't have anybody here, which I think some Cowboys fans out there would probably say that. I don't. I think we saw some improvement from Schoonmaker. I think we saw a bad year from Jake Ferguson, say it as it is. But you can't just replace him off of 1 year.
Right.
You can't just replace a guy off of 1 year after he just went to the Pro Bowl 2 years ago.
No.
So
tight end and quarterback are the two spots at 12 that I'd be floored if they made a decision. So that's a thumbs down for me.
Hey, Matt Miller, more like Mac Miller, because I have hurt feelings over this pick.
Hey,
you know what I'm saying?
Bars.
Thumbs down. Terrible idea. Away with you.
Get guards.
Go on. Get on
guards. Remove him from my presence.
The only other name that was on this list, compiled by Tommy Yarrish on DallasCowboys.com, it was a number of Tet McMillan possibilities. I think we're all in pretty much agreement that that's a thumbs up.
2 thumbs up.
Yeah.
That's 2 thumbs up.
Feel pretty good about the fit.
I like the polarity on that. You go from one that's obviously 2 thumbs down to a Tet McMillan, which is obviously a 2 thumbs up.
It's almost like I put it together that way. It's almost like I
might not be your first rodeo.
Yeah, it's like I'm hosting the show.
I know. Something. You've been here much longer than me.
Watching the show. It's true. But yeah, no, I think we're all in agreement that Tet would be a favorite pick. Is there anybody else?
Just write it down. It's over. I'm going to
great.
update the website.
Yeah.
12th overall pick.
What number are you giving him?
Oh, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know what's open.
10?
I'm giving him
10?
10, 2.
Sorry, Wanye. I'm giving him 2.
Did Wanye take 2 from J-Lu? Oh, I didn't even see that.
Yeah.
That's wild. Yeah, no.
He is willing to give it to a rookie, though. He I don't know if he's being
can't
playful
give him-
about
it was
it.
a
He said
business
for a
decision.
portion of the signing bonus.
You can't give him 4, so can't take 4 away.
It was a business decision by Wanye.
It was. I think he.
I like
You
it.
think so?
He did that
Absolutely.
so that you would have to come to him with a bag.
Come on now.
Yeah.
That's
veteran move.
That's positioning.
Veteran
Nice signing bonus.
Very
veteran
good.
move. Come on.
What size are those?
What size are those? You get it.
Not your
you get it.
size.
You know, not your size. My size.
Yeah. But yeah, anybody else? Tet McMillan, got it. Anybody else that you feel comfortable there at 12?
I've told you before. I like Walter Nolan, man. I really do.
You're that high on him.
I really am that high on him.
I
Granted,
appreciate you standing on the table.
I haven't seen a ton of defensive tackle footage aside from Walter Nolan, but for obviously, what's his name? Number 1, Michigan. He's not going to be there.
Mason Graham.
He won't be there.
Probably not.
So give me Walter Nolan. I like him, and I like the interview that you guys did with him. He sounds like Micah in a way.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, put them next to each other. See how it goes.
You're standing on like one of those like school desks that are like kind of wobbly, but you're standing on the table. It's like Dead Poets Society.
Yeah.
Got you up there like, oh, Captain, my captain, and you're looking right at Walter Nolan trying to will this thing into
Let's
it.
go, buddy.
But
I like the Ole Miss defense. I like what he did. I mean, come on.
They were nasty.
Let's go.
That defensive film is nuts.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
He's a heck of a player.
Honestly, I am on a different table. My table is if Tet McMillan and Ashton Genty are gone, find a dance partner to bail.
Yeah.
That's where
It's
I am.
easier said than done. That's
I
the
didn't
tough
say it was
part.
easy.
Yeah.
I didn't say it was easy. I just said
And you're
that
probably
needs
going to
to be
take an
your target.
underpay.
That needs to be your target.
You're going to give somebody a discount on 12. That's the just
And that's
you got to come to fruition.
Depends on what the discount is.
It's going to be probably a heavy discount because there's no quarterbacks to come up with.
Shameless plug for previous week's episode. So check out last week's episode if you want to know some scenarios that Kyle put out there. It was a very fun game. There was one particular thing I'm not going to tell you because I want you to go press play. That was such an underpay that it was mildly gross.
Yep.
So
mildly.
Underpays, I mean, there are levels to underpay and discount. So if it's a mild discount, fine. As long as it's not a full, discount double check, then, you can get it done.
Yeah.
I think I'm with you in that Genti are gone, try and move back. Yeah. And Walter Nolan is a prime candidate, I think, if you move back as a guy who could be on the table. I'm a big Walter Nolan guy too. Look, anything is on the board. I feel like anything I feel like is on the board in the first round except for tight end and quarterback. Sure. Right? I think that you look at this team and they've got just so many needs across the board that you can make an argument for just about anybody. But in terms of what you would get for trading back, if you can stack some top 100 picks, I think you're in a good spot. So even if it's at a discounted point and you swap first and maybe get a second and a third with it, maybe that's too high, or like a third or a fourth, you get your fourth round pick back.
Yeah.
I think you consider it if that's the best offer you've got, just because you need to stack as much top-end talent as you can for this roster, right? Like this is a draft and develop team. They've said it over and over again. If you're going to do that, you need to draft the best players that are up there. And then you let Will McClay do what he's done in the past and make his money late in the rounds in day 3. So as far as other guys at 12, you could talk me into Jahdae Barron from Texas, the cornerback who can kind of play anywhere in the secondary. I think you could talk me into Luther Burden, the wide receiver from Missouri. You could talk me into Will Johnson, the corner from Michigan. So there's a lot of different pieces. And I think the wild card in round 1 of this draft, because I've been seeing buzz around him lately in terms of where they can play him, and not Dallas specifically, just across the NFL, is Jahad Campbell from Alabama. Where does he fall? Is he a guy that a team is super sky high on, and they're going to take him with a premium pick?
I bet you he goes in top 20.
I 100% see it because I think he gives you that added element of the pass rushing ability. I think Jahad Campbell is what people thought Jalen Walker would be at a linebacker spot. Yeah. Because Jahad Campbell can rush the passer, but Walker is a better pass rusher.
Yeah.
So that's where it differs. And I'm not saying anything bad about Jalen Walker.
Go Dogs.
I like Jalen Walker a lot. I'm just saying, people see him and say, okay, well, he's a linebacker, but I think Campbell covers more ground as a coverage linebacker, and he can still blitz off the edge on third down, whereas Walker, I think, specializes at rushing the passer and just needs to be more refined.
I do agree.
Do we assume Michael Williams will be gone at 12?
No. I think there's
and he's another one on the
table. I do not foresee him being gone at 12.
I think that'll be a conversation.
But going back to last week's episode, go and watch that. It was based on the scenario that Kyle positioned. That is why I said Michael Williams at number 12. But in the actual real world, where I'm not boxed in by Kyle's scenario, I'm not taking Michael Williams. I love him to death, but I'm not taking him at number 12. That's just way too rich. And even he's one of my dogs, but that's way too rich.
I'm of the thought process that if you can get the right type of compensation, trading back is a great option. I'm all for it, but I'm also telling everybody that just be prepared to not have a trade partner and to not have the correct compensation, and we may have some problems either way. Yeah. All right, we got to go here on the draft show, or gosh darn it. The draft show is coming up next. We've got Talking Cowboys next Tuesday. Be sure to get your draft magazine and continue on as well. A couple weeks away from the NFL draft. Glad you had some time with us this morning on Talking Cowboys. For Patrik "No-C" Walker, Josh Rodriguez, Tommy Yarrish, Jasmine Marshall in the back, I'm Kyle Youmans saying so long from Talking Cowboys. We'll see you next week.
This has been a production of DallasCowboys.com and the Dallas Cowboys Football Club.
How about this?